Ernie Shavers learned something that night that 23 professional boxing victories couldn't teach him. Not because Johnny Carson stopped the show, not because security arrived, because Bruce Lee put him on his back on live television in 5 seconds, held him there with a knee on his chest, and then helped him stand back up like nothing happened. And in that sequence, the fall, the control, the release, 8 million people watched a heavyweight contender discover that being the strongest person in the room means nothing when you're facing someone who understands your body better than you do. NBC Studios, Burbank, California. February 18, 1971. Thursday night, 8:45. The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson is American television at its peak. 8 million people watching from their living rooms across the country. Families settling into evening routines. The show is live, on air, light glowing red, cameras rolling, studio audience of 200 seated beyond the bright stage lights. This is where America meets new ideas, where unknown faces become familiar. Bruce Lee sits on the guest couch wearing a dark button-down shirt and black slacks. His segment has been running smoothly for 12 minutes. He demonstrated the 1-inch punch, explained Jeet Kune Do philosophy, showed basic Wing Chun hand positions. Johnny Carson is engaged, asking thoughtful questions. The audience is curious, attentive. This is good television, educational, accessible, safe. Backstage, someone is watching the monitor with different eyes. Ernie Shavers, 26 years old, heavyweight boxing contender, 23 wins, 1 loss, known for devastating knockout power. Not scheduled to appear tonight, just visiting the studio. Happened to see Bruce Lee talking about redirecting force and not meeting strength with strength, and something in his chest tightened. He's spent his life in boxing gyms, learning to take punishment, learning to deliver it with maximum force. And now this small man is telling 8 million Americans that size doesn't determine the outcome in combat. Shavers makes a decision, walks out of the green room, through backstage, past a stage manager who tries to stop him, through the curtain, into the lights, the on-air sign glowing, 8 million people watching. Johnny Carson is mid-question, when movement catches his eye, someone walking onto the set, during broadcast, not during commercial. Right now, Carson stops talking, looks at the tall figure approaching. The studio audience notices. Conversations stop. This isn't part of the show. Ernie Shavers walks directly toward Bruce. He's holding a glass. Water, ice, stops 3 feet from the couch. Says loud enough for the microphones, "This kung fu talk is disrespectful to real fighting." Then, before anyone can respond, tips the glass forward and dumps the entire contents onto Bruce Lee. Water and ice cascade over Bruce's head, shoulders, chest. His dark shirt goes instantly wet. Ice cubes land in his lap, bounce onto the floor. Water drips from his hair down his face. The studio audience gasps. 200 people frozen. Johnny Carson jumps up from his desk. "Hey, we're live here." Bruce Lee doesn't move, doesn't jump up, doesn't wipe his face, just sits there, water dripping, shirt soaked through, ice melting in his lap. His hands remain on his knees. His breathing stays even. He looks up at Ernie Shavers with calm eyes. Subscribe, turn on notifications, like the video, and comment. More true Bruce Lee stories are coming. Shiva stands there holding the empty glass, waiting for Bruce to react, waiting for him to stand, to yell, to show anger. But Bruce just sits, water running down his neck. And in that stillness, something shifts in the studio. The audience isn't gasping anymore. They're leaning forward, watching Bruce not react with the same intensity they'd watch him react. Drop a comment if you've ever had to decide between reacting and responding. Johnny Carson comes around the desk, hands out. "Okay, we need security. Can someone—" His voice has an edge. Someone just assaulted his guest on live television. Shavers says he talks about fighting but won't stand up when disrespected. That's not a fighter, that's a performer. Bruce speaks quietly. "You can sit down if you want, or you can leave. Your choice." His voice is steady, not challenging, just offering options. Shavers laughs. "You're soaking wet telling me what to do. Stand up, defend yourself like a man." Bruce stays seated. "I don't need to stand up to prove anything. You're angry about something that has nothing to do with me." The audience is completely silent. 8 million people at home trying to understand what they're seeing. A professional fighter just humiliated a martial arts instructor, and the instructor is sitting there wet, speaking in complete sentences. Shavers' face reddens. "You're scared. When a real fighter shows up, you sit there like a coward." Bruce tilts his head slightly. "If that's what you need to believe. But you came here angry, dumped water on me, and I'm still sitting, so who's in control?" Something flickers across Shavers' face. He came to expose a fraud. Instead, Bruce isn't giving him the confrontation he needs, just sitting there, wet calm, making Shavers look like the only person out of control. Bruce stands slowly. Water drips from his shirt onto the stage floor. He's 6 inches shorter than Shavers, 85 pounds lighter. Soaking wet, he looks even smaller. He takes 2 steps toward Shavers, close enough to be in range. Shavers says, "Finally," reaches out to grab Bruce's collar, both hands. The kind of grab that says, "I'm moving you now." Bruce's hands rise inside Shavers' arms. Specific angle, pressure on the wrists. Shavers' hands open involuntarily. The grip breaks. Before Shavers can reset, he throws a punch. Right cross, professional, fast. 23 victories behind that punch, meant to end this. Second one, Bruce's left hand deflects. Minimal movement. The punch travels past Bruce's head, missing by inches. Bruce's right hand strikes Shavers' floating rib. Not full power, 40%. Precise point, nerve cluster. Sharp pain radiates through Shavers' right side. Subscribe, because what happens in the next 4 seconds will show you what a heavyweight champion looks like when size stops mattering. Second 2, Shavers' body reacts to the rib strike. Contracts involuntarily, his guard drops. Bruce's left palm strikes Shavers' solar plexus. Controlled impact, exact point. Shavers' diaphragm spasms, breath exits, all of it. At once, his mouth opens, trying to inhale. Can't. Second 3, Shavers can't breathe. His hands go to his stomach. Bruce's right foot sweeps both of Shavers' ankles, his weight already forward from the breath loss. No base, no balance. Shavers falls, not hard. Bruce guides the descent, controlled, but he's going down. In front of 8 million people, the heavyweight contender is falling. Second 4, Shavers hits the stage floor on his back. The sound echoes through the studio. Not injured, just down. Can't breathe, can't process. Bruce drops to one knee beside him. No, not beside, on top. Bruce's left knee presses onto Shavers' chest. Light pressure, controlling position. Bruce's right hand hovers near Shavers' throat. Not touching, not threatening, just positioned. The message clear without words. I could finish this. I'm choosing not to. Second 5. Bruce stays there, knee on Shavers' chest, hand near his throat, looking down at the heavyweight champion who's flat on his back, still trying to breathe, still trying to understand what just happened to his body. The studio is dead silent, 200 people frozen, 8 million people watching their screens. Johnny Carson standing motionless, 3 feet away. Bruce stands, steps back, removes his knee. His hand drops to his side. Shavers remains on the floor. His diaphragm finally releases. Air comes back in, ragged, painful. He gasps, fills his lungs. His chest heaves, but he's breathing again. Bruce extends his hand, offering. Shavers stares at it for 3 seconds, then takes it. Bruce pulls. Shavers rises, unsteady, still recovering, still processing. He stands there, one hand on his ribs, the other on his stomach, breathing hard. Bruce says quietly, meant for Shavers but picked up by the microphones. 5 seconds, rib strike to break your structure, solar plexus to take your breath, sweep to take your base, ground control to show you I could finish it. I stopped at control, didn't need to continue. Shavers looks at him, face red, not from anger now, from shock, from the crushing realization that everything he thought he knew about fighting just got rewritten. You put me on my back, his voice hoarse, in 5 seconds. Bruce nods. And helped you stand up in the 6th. Because this isn't about proving I can hurt you. It's about showing you that size and strength don't matter when someone understands your structure. Shavers flexes his hands, touches his ribs, feels his breathing normalize. He looks at Bruce, at Johnny Carson, at the audience watching, at the cameras broadcasting to 8 million homes, and says, loud enough for everyone to hear, I apologize. I was wrong to come here. I was wrong about what you do. Bruce nods once. Apology accepted. Thank you for saying that. Shavers turns, walks back through the curtain, doesn't look at anyone, just leaves. The stage door closes. Security arrives 30 seconds too late. Johnny Carson exhales, looks at Bruce standing there dripping. Are you okay? Do you need... Should we call medical? Bruce wipes water from his face. I'm fine, just wet. A towel would help. A production assistant rushes over with towels. Bruce dries his face, pats his shirt, still soaked but not dripping. Carson suggests commercial break. The stage manager signals. Cameras cut. Off air. The studio erupts. Did that just happen? He put him on the floor. Did you see how fast that was? Carson finds Bruce during the break. That should never have happened. I don't know how he got on stage. Bruce smiles slightly. Not your fault. He was upset. He dealt with it. Carson shakes his head. You handled that with more control than I've seen in 30 years of broadcasting. When they come back from commercial, Carson addresses it directly. Folks, we had an unscheduled visitor. As you saw, there was a confrontation. Bruce handled it with remarkable restraint. I think we all just learned something about what real strength looks like. Share this with someone who needs to understand that the strongest response isn't always the loudest. The rest of the interview is different. The audience watches Bruce with new eyes. Everything he said before about control, about choosing response over reaction, they understand it now. They saw it demonstrated. 8 million people saw it. After the show, Bruce changes into a dry shirt. In the hallway, Carson stops him. How did you stay that calm? I was furious and it wasn't even me. Bruce says, his anger wasn't about me. It was about his fear that what he knows might not be enough. I couldn't fight that fear with violence, only show him it wasn't a threat. The next day, the incident is everywhere. NBC receives thousands of calls. Newspapers run stories. Boxer attacks martial artist on live TV. Gets put on his back in seconds. The footage replays on news programs. Some say it was staged. Others who were there insist it was completely real. Ernie Shavers disappears from public view for 6 months, then resurfaces with a statement. I learned something that night. Real fighting isn't about who hits hardest. It's about who understands the body. Bruce Lee taught me that in 5 seconds. I'm grateful. Years later, after Bruce's death, Johnny Carson dedicates a segment to him, shows the footage, says, I've never seen anything like what Bruce did that night. He didn't just defend himself. He showed 8 million people that real power is knowing when to stop. The footage exists in NBC archives. 5 seconds that changed how America understood martial arts. 5 seconds where a heavyweight contender threw a punch and learned why the person on top isn't always the winner. And 8 million witnesses learned that sometimes the strongest thing you can do is help your opponent stand back up. Subscribe, enable notifications, like the video and comment below which Bruce Lee moment surprised you most.